Hi! So in this video, I will be talking about the whole medical school application process as well as some of the tips that I found helpful for my own application cycle. So if you are interested, then please keep on watching. The first block in medical school application is the AMCAS, which stands for American Medical College Application Service. This system is used by a majority of the US medical schools and are intended for applicants who want to pursue the MD degree. For those who want to apply to medical schools in Texas, you would be using the TMSDAS, which stands for Texas Medical and Dental Schools Application Service. And for those who want to pursue the DO degree, then you would use the AA COMIS, which stands for American Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicine. Now, I have only experience with AMCAS, so in this video I will specifically talk about AMCAS alone. Now, the deadlines on policies might slightly differ with these different services. However, the major components of the medical school application apply to all of these. So AMCAS basically verifies all of your courses, extracurriculars, your MCAT score, your GPA, your letters of recommendation, etc., etc. And basically they send them to medical schools that you designated. This is going to be your primary application. Now, before moving on to the different parts of the application, I want to highly recommend you apply to the fee assistance program of AMCAS, which is called FAP. Now, you have to be eligible for this assistance program, but I would definitely recommend you to apply because medical school application is expensive. And when I mean expensive, it is expensive. Every penny counts. So FAP definitely helps you with financing this medical school application process. Now, after registering with AMCAS, you will have sections to fill out in the application, such as your courses, your transcripts, letters of recommendation, extracurriculars, etc., etc. Now, in terms of the timeline, AMCAS usually opens in the beginning of May. So you can start filling out those sections as soon as it opens, beginning of May. However, you can submit your finalized primary application in the beginning of June or maybe the end of May, depending on AMCAS timeline. Now, speaking of timeline, deadlines are super important in the medical school application process since many schools are still doing the rolling admissions. So it is advised that to increase your chances of getting interview invites from these medical schools, you need to finish and submit as early as you can without compromising the quality of your application, of course. Now, I am a planner freak, so I utilized my agenda and my Google Calendar to keep track of my own progress in this whole process, and this definitely helped me with not procrastinating with my essays and my application. So I highly recommend getting yourself a planner or utilizing Google Calendar if you have never used before, because it definitely helps. So the second block is your personal statement. Yeah. So your personal statement is going to be basically the first impression that you give to medical schools besides your MCAT and your GPA. Now, I highly recommend having many readers as possible for your personal statement. For me personally, I worked on my personal statement like 2 months prior my submission, so it was about last year, March or April, and I definitely had many readers. This gave me enough time to edit all my drafts. I had a lot of feedback from different readers, and this definitely helped me perfect my personal statement. Another note about personal statement is that, well, personal statement should be your personal story that explains your journey to medicine. And it's actually better to have an honest story rather than to have a lavish essay that has little substance to your purpose in pursuing medical degree. So personal statement is a big chunk of your application. Now the next one is the third component, which is the letter of recommendation. I kind of feel like SpongeBob doing the imagination thing, but most medical schools require at least 3 letters of recommendation, 2 of which should be written by science faculty members or professors, and 1 non-science letter writer. However, different schools may have different sets of requirements for letters of recommendation, so make sure to check each medical school's website. Now for the letter of recommendation, I used Interfolio for sending in my letters. Basically, I used it to send reminders to my letter writers, and it also allowed them to submit those letters to Interfolio. And Interfolio allows you to store your letters, and although you can't read those letters, they basically check the quality of the letters, such as making sure there's a letterhead, there's a signature, there's a date. This quality check is important so that the medical schools actually accept these letters. Some informal letters are not accepted by medical schools. And my little tip about your LOR is when asking your writer to write you a letter of recommendation, be professional as possible, of course, but make sure you are asking the right people to write you a recommendation letter. You want to make sure that they write you a stellar letter portraying your best traits and the good qualities that you have. If you're not sure if a writer will write you a good letter, then don't ask from them. Request from other people. You don't want to have any of those red flags in your application. Fourth component is the MCAT, which stands for Medical College Admission Test. Now this is a big thing. Your MCAT score is going to be one of the huge determinants getting interviews from medical schools. The timing is key again here when you are taking your MCAT in order to ensure that you get the MCAT score in a timely fashion. It takes about a month to have the MCAT score released, so I highly recommend taking the MCAT by the month of April at the latest before submitting your application. But make sure that you are well prepared for it. MCAT for me was a totally different exam. I advise you to take the MCAT when you are fully ready. Your mental well-being is as important as your knowledge of the materials. So I made a huge mistake taking the MCAT when I was not ready, so I unfortunately had to retake it. If you have a score from the past, it will automatically be in your primary application since you register MCAT through AMCAS anyway. So AMCAS has your record, but make sure that the medical schools that you're applying to will accept those old scores. Some schools might not accept MCAT scores that are taken more than 3 years before the application. The fifth component is the secondaries. So once you have submitted your perfect primary application that is verified by AMCAS, the schools that you have applied to will look over them and will send you an invitation to fill out the school-specific essays and application. What are secondaries? Secondaries are basically another application form and essays you need to fill out for each school you have sent your application to. Each school has different set of questions they want you to answer regarding topics such as diversity, mission fit, your purpose in pursuing degree. So many of these questions from different schools thankfully overlap with each other. So what does this mean? This means that you can pre-write secondaries. The best tip for secondaries is to pre-write your secondaries ASAP as you're done with your primary application. On average, people say an applicant applies to about 15 to 20 schools. Now, each school in their secondary asks about 4 to 5 essay questions, meaning that that applicant will have about 100 essays to write. That's crazy. It's about 100 essays to write. So the sooner you write your essays, the less load you will have on a daily basis, and it will save your life. Again, for this part, we have a recurring theme of being on time, right? So timing is, again, important for this part as well. The rule of thumb that I used was as soon as I got the secondary invitation from different schools, I tried to submit these applications within 2 weeks of getting these invitations. This is why it is important to pre-write your secondaries. It will be a lifesaver, trust me. You can pre-write your essays using past essay questions. You can Google for the past essay questions of all these schools, or you can follow the threads on SDN, Student Doctor Network, to keep up with the different secondary questions as well. Personally, SDN was extremely helpful. It definitely helped me getting in all these secondaries in a timely fashion, and also kept me up to date with the progress of the cycle. So thank you, SDN. The sixth and final component is the interview. After submitting your secondary, the medical school will send you an invitation to interview at their school. Now, this is a great sign. Yeah, this is a great sign. You have hurdled over the primary screening, and then you have hurdled over the secondary screening, and now you are at this final hurdle, which is the interview. If you pass this final hurdle, you will get an A, acceptance to medical school. My advice for interviews would be to be genuine, be honest, and just show your true personality. If they love you, they'll love you. If the school's mission is fitting with you, then you would just naturally blend in well. My best tip for interviews is to smile. It's funny how such a small thing as smiling can really help make the difference in making an impression to somebody. So ace that interview, and then you are good to go. Now you are officially a medical student. Okay, that is all. That was an overall very broad guide through the medical school application. Thanks for watching this video all the way. I know it was kind of long. Yeah, and if you have found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and click on the subscribe button down there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!